Alright, so this is going to be a bit of a throwback and a bit of a different video. Welcome to Dreadnought Part 28. So, what I've got here is the fruits of this week's labor. Sadly, it's not updates to the Dreadnought, it's not improved looks for the model. It's something a bit simpler from that, and maybe more complicated. As we all know, I am at the precipice of doing a bunch more photo etch. All I need now is the pentagrams and the virgin's blood, I guess. No. But, anyways, so I needed what I thought I needed, at least, looking at some of my etching results, was a more uniform light source. And I say that because some of the edges that I had from this, the previous developments were fuzzy. But some of them were very crisp. And so I figured, okay, applying equal pressure, that's not seeming to change anything. So then I figured, okay, maybe it's the light source. So hopefully with this new and improved light, alright, well, I'll let you know at the end if it worked. Alright, hopefully this time my phone catches the recording. So, yeah, it said it was in there in the editor, but looks like my phone has decided to be a glitchy POS again. So, here I am taking apart that UV lamp. This one was for curing nails. I got it a while off Amazon. I originally got it actually to cure my my 3D prints. Now this thing will be able to help me out with curing the 3D prints as well. I'll still have to, maybe turn the pieces around a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. So what you saw me do there was hack some of it up with the Dremel, because, well, the Dremel's the closest thing I've got to a nice saw for this size thing. So there I am again, taking it apart, pulling all the screws out of it. And that thing had a lot of screws. The main things I'm trying to get to are the electronics and the actual receptacles for the UV bulbs that I've got. Now, my thought process for this whole thing, and just because of me taking things apart, unscrewing things here and whatnot, was that if I took instead of just 2 lamps, I took 4 lamps and held them a reasonable distance from anything, that it might work out better. More points of light, more chances to cure the UV curing photoresist. So there I am. Now I'm taking some measurements. This is a couple days later. This is the big reason that I didn't quite get this thing ready to go with some footage of me making photo etch. That's because, one of the kids, he had a nasty cough. Thankfully, it wasn't COVID, but, the standard operating procedure, and it's a good one, seems to be, let's just, hold the kid in quarantine just in case kind of deal. Not really a hard quarantine, but more of like, let's not spread this thing around. Let's just assume that he's got it until we have proof otherwise. But the doctor called, he was negative, which was a good thing. And so there we go, and I am now able to go to Lowe's and get the plywood. So you'll see I used a piece of that, I think it's a 2x2. Yeah, it's a 2x2. To act as a kind of guide for my buzz saw, which I call the hand amputator. And there I go, I'm using it once again to try to hold things in place. And what I learned was that first cut I did wasn't quite as precise as I'd liked. But here I am, I'm making another, line using the pieces of wood that I just cut, because, why wouldn't I? It's a free way to know I've got the right markings ready to go. And then I use the same trick with the 2x2, and this time it works and I don't have to clean up any edges any further. And then I can just, again, get the right size of this piece of wood and buzz that, too. So what you see me do in this section of the video is I end up making just about the whole thing, really. I've made it out of 1/4-inch thick plywood and 2x2 board. And those are clamps I had left over from my experiment with urethane casting, which I reserve the right to go back to in the future, just as I need to do things. Anyway, so here I am. Now I'm drilling in the sides of these plywood sides I've got into these 2x2 sections I cut. And the reason I'm doing it this way is you'll see I'm doing 1 in one side and 2 in the other. And my thought was I'd go into each of these boards, 2 from one direction and 1 from another direction, so that when they're all together, they still won't let each other twist anything, but it'll use fewer screws. And you know, I only got 20 of them because I got a little baggie, thinking that's all I really need, and it actually did work out reasonably well. And then the last thing I did is, because I like to, you know, do things the kind of rough-hewn but working way, is I used the little box piece I made and cut out a section of the board to be the top of this box. Now what you're seeing me do is take another piece that was also made to look like to fit into the right position to act as a support for these outlets that I've cut out. And what I had to modify them a little bit. I was going to try using their built-in screw holes. Didn't quite work so good because they got too close together. So I ended up drilling a hole through the centers of them and using those self-tapping wood screws, and it works great. And now what I'm doing is I'm taking the electronics and I'm lengthening the wires. And here's the thing about electrical wire that from what I understand, I'm sure there's somebody who's a double E's going to see something and go, Rich, you're a freaking putz. But I found that if you want to splice a wire, you can use a wider grade of wire to the thing you're adding, you know, and it'll be fine. But if you go with a narrower gauge of wire, it can cause problems. You want to try to get equal if you can to the sections you're splicing it, you know, whatever. But so in this case, I'm guessing this was either 14 or 16 gauge wire coming off of the UV PCB board. That's what it's called, that thing with all the electronic gizmos on it. And I had some spare 12 gauge house wire. So stuff that could take a bit of oomph in it without catching fire. So I just figured I'd got a new soldering iron and I'd go ahead and solder that all up together. And it works. And sadly, there's a bit of a time jump because I had to have a time jump, unfortunately, just because the camera batteries went out. But yeah, next time in the next slow motion session, you should see this thing all kind of fully built up.
You know, last night I thought, you know, probably close to done, but then I realized, you know, I really want to just, as tightly as I can, try to focus this light. So I'm going to go get some foam core. You know, find ways to glue it in the right places and leave it not glued in other places so that it's, you know, really isolates this beam of light, if you will. Well, not beam, but bed. Then, I don't know what I'll do. I might, like, you know, not sure how I'll make it the most even possible. But I'm sure I'll think of something. Maybe, like, I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to think of something. But I'll think of something. Maybe I'll, like, put a... That'd be a worthwhile experiment, because I got one clear piece of plastic right there. It's really thin, so it's not going to offer all that much in the way of UV protection. You put it over that, and as long as I have some foam core to support it, probably be good enough for my needs. And it's perfectly set. Okay, I'm going to do that. I originally got this to do windows in the Bismarck. But, well, I can get more, and I can get thinner, too, if I look hard enough. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright. Even more tweaking.
Boom! Okay. So here is after I show off the kind of fruits of my labor a little bit, and I realized I should have some kind of, like, sort of reflector and method of isolating the beam to really try to narrow it down somewhat. So that's what I'm doing here, is I put in some pieces of cut up foam core board, I think that's what that's called, and I just glue it all into position with the hot glue gun. I leave a little space in case I need to pull out and wiggle out the bulbs later for any reason. And for the most part, that's what I'm doing. You'll also see on some of these, I put you'll see right there, some aluminum foil, shiny side inward for obvious reasons, just to make a kind of reflector. And then after getting some pieces of foam core for the sides and getting them the right size, I put some aluminum foil on those before gluing them into position. So I do that, getting it all there, using a new sharp scalpel to, you know, cut that out, just because the older scalpel was starting to tear at the aluminum instead of nicely slice. And then, as you can see, I'm using the hot glue gun to put the stuff in position, and then I'm being an idiot and using my bare hand to remove excess hot glue, which it's not as dumb as you think. I haven't really burned myself. You could doing it this way, so unless you've tried it before and been able to dodge getting burned, don't do it. And even if then, I think we all know, bad idea. And there I am now. I'm cutting out a center section of that bottom piece I made by kind of directly tracing. And now I'm slapping it on there with some hot glue and filling in a little gap. And in just about a moment or two, we're going to get to the end of the video. So, again, sorry I had to release this twice.
I know. Oh my god, him and his cliffhangers. Does it work, Rich? Just tell us, right? It works. So, yeah, I built a frame, essentially built a box using some plywood and wood. Which I will now toss into this little makeshift bin. And yeah, I have created a little UV curing box, I guess. Which, because what I did is I tweaked the lights, essentially, to try and make it so that they'd, you know, all shine in the same way and try to get the same, or at least a more even illumination that way. Whether it works or not remains to be seen, because it's Sunday, I want to get a video out to you guys so I can keep this thing rolling. And then, I got a workbench to clean up. I got some storage space to make for my first major homemade tool in a while. And then, well, I don't know, go to bed. Maybe, maybe not, I don't know, we'll see. Alright. Seltzer water's nice. Alright. Well, till next time, I'm Rich. This has been Dreadnought 28, and peace out. Oh, before I forget, like, share, subscribe, hooray! Alright, got that out of my system. Peace out!